and whether really the centre will hold. But let's take a quick break from politics. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, in 2020 moved in to repossess Woodley Estate as ordered by the Environment and Lands Court. The ruling by the court meant that 48 out of the 102 houses in the estate revert back to government ownership, as the persons who claim ownership were forced to vacate these houses. This was just another victory in a prolonged asset recovery war that the Commission is head-bent on winning. Let's get more on the fourth and final part of the special report, Graft, Diaries, with George Maringa.
On the fourth and final part of Graft Diaries series, we focus on Woodley Estate. The Commission of Inquiry into Irregular Allocation of Public Land, otherwise known as the Ndongo Land Report, in its findings noted well-connected greedy individuals who illegally converted public land into private property. A judge cancelled titles issued to individuals who claimed to have purchased some 103 houses in Woodley/Joseph Kang'ethe Estate. Although the residents maintained that they were innocent purchasers, the court had no kind words for them. They should have been diligent. An illegal and flawed process cannot give rise to a valid title, read Justice Samson Okongo's judgment. The residents, some of whom had resided in the houses for decades, had no option but to vacate their homes. Evidence was presented to court by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, saying that the land was set aside for the City Council in 1948. It was 34.63 hectares. A grant was registered in favor of the defunct council in June 1998, but in April 1999, the houses had changed hands. In 2007, the Commission moved to court seeking the revocation of the sale. Woodley Residents Welfare Society opposed the cancellation, maintaining that they had paid 1.1 million shillings for each of the property. The homeowners, led by the chairman, Mr. Paul Ngetha, said that they had been tenants since 1971, when the council offered to sell them the houses, and they gladly welcomed the offer. He said the council then passed a resolution and obtained a ministerial authority before approving the sale. The sale, he added, was made following President Daniel Arap Moi's directive that the houses at Kenyatta Market and Woodley Estate, among others, be sold to the sitting tenants in 1992. But the Commission said there was no council resolution authorizing the sale of 103 houses, and the minister did not sanction the sale. EACC also said that the process leading to the purported sale was flawed and hence a nullity. Former local government minister William Olentimama testified in the case, saying the disposal of the houses required a resolution by a full council meeting and that later his approval had to be sought. But in this case, no approval was sought. The court heard that there was collusion and fraud, as there was no evidence of payment, since the receipts produced were contradictory as to when the payment was made and the manner of payment. There was no evidence before court showing that the Commissioner of Lands consented to the subdivision of Woodley/Joseph Kang'ethe Estate and the sale of the portions thereof, including the suit property, read part of Justice Okongo's judgment. The judge said that the events before and after the sale of the houses left no doubt that the Nairobi City Commission, which was then running the council, and the chief officers of the council had hatched an elaborate scheme to dispose of the houses with minimal public scrutiny to achieve selfish aims. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, is a public body established under Section 3.1 of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act of 2011. Among the many strategies in the fight against corruption is asset recovery. This remains a key strategy which starts with forensic investigation. A team of EACC forensic investigators often conducts raids to investigate cases reported to the Commission.
The mandate of EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, is to combat and prevent corruption. How does EACC do this? We do it through law enforcement. Law enforcement is what most Kenyans are familiar with, because you will see we have investigated someone, we have made recommendations to the DPP, and that person has been prosecuted. So that is the law enforcement side. But apart from law enforcement, we also do education, training, public awareness. And the other way in which we combat and prevent corruption is through the promotion of standards and ethics. So every time you see EACC has written to MCAs for fighting, that is part of promoting standards under Chapter 6 of the Constitution and under the Leadership and Integrity Act.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission gathers information on corruption occurring in government and the public sector from a variety of sources. These sources include members of the public, heads of government departments and agencies, officials working in both the public and private sectors, and the media.
In essence, we are disincentivizing corruption. We're taking away the reward. The people who engage in corruption have done a calculation. There's a risk on this side, that is the risk of being caught, but there's such a huge reward on this side. But now imagine we've taken away the reward. Is the risk worth it? No. That is why we are pursuing asset recovery, and I'm very proud to report that in the last 5 years, EACC has recovered assets worth 25 billion. In fact, it's more than 25 billion.
Unraveling cases is not an easy task, but in the long run, the recovered assets are returned back to the state.
It's an institution created from the law. So we are people who respect the rule of law. And the rule of law is the one that says people are innocent until proven guilty. People are entitled, they have a right to a fair trial. People have a right to a fair administrative process. So there is pressure from Kenyans, and that is fine. The expectations are high, that is fine. But remember, EACC has to operate within the law. It has to operate within the Constitution. That is why we afford everyone an opportunity. If we need to interview you, we are giving you a fair administrative process. If we are taking you to court and recommending prosecution, we are giving you the right to a fair trial. So the only reason it appears that things are taking long or that EACC is constrained, we are operating within the law.
It is always said that corruption has its way of fighting back. But in all this, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, has been able to recover 25 billion shillings in the last 5 years.
The fight against corruption is not just an EACC thing, is not just a government thing. It is the entire Kenyan society. And that is why you will have heard our CEO, Major Twalib Mbarak, repeatedly tell Kenyans and remind them that as citizens, we have a role in the fight against corruption. So what can Kenyans do in the fight against corruption? One, they can abstain, do not engage in corruption. But the other thing that Kenyans are encouraged to do is to report. When they have seen an incident of corruption, or they have seen somebody spending more money, he's an MCA, but he's constructing buildings and you can't see where the source of this money is coming from. So reporting is one key element. Where do you report? You can walk into any of our regional offices. You can walk into Integrity Center. But if that is a bit difficult, you can find our Huduma centers in every county. You can go to the website. We have a portal for reporting. And for those who are concerned about their safety, we have an anonymous reporting portal.
The Commission is keen to live up to its mandate, which is to combat and prevent corruption, economic crime, and unethical conduct in Kenya through law enforcement, prevention, public education, promotion of standards and practices of integrity, ethics, and anti-corruption. George Maringa, KTN News.
Express